Hello, good evening and welcome to 3FM. This is Hot Edition, live from our studio here at Adesawe Kanda in Accra. Coming up, striking members of the Civil and Local Government Staff Association of Ghana, CLOGSAG, failed to appear before the National Labour Commission to address concerns surrounding its ongoing industrial action. We have details in a moment. Also coming up, the Interior Minister Muntaka Mohamed Mubarak has justified the use of technology in the aptitude test taken by recruits after the minority slammed the approach. And later, we'll tell you this interesting development globally, which is that Iran has officially withdrawn from the 2026 World Cup, which is just about 2.5 months away, to be jointly hosted by the United States due to Israel and US bombardment of their country. We'll give you details of this and more, and how the attendant impact of the war in the Middle East is directly affecting Ghana. My name is Martin Asiedu-Dartey. Let's bring you the summary of other big stories making rounds in Ghana. Hello, Christabel.
Hi, Martin. We begin with the Minister for Roads and Highways, Kwame Gavin-Abuja. He's saying that the recent road works at the Tetekwashi interchange in Accra, which has been suspended temporarily, is being reviewed and would resume soon. He, the minister, however, explained that the exercise could not be undertaken without restricting traffic flow because the beams involved are extremely heavy and could pose serious risks if proper safety measures are not enforced. He appealed to the motoring public to be patient, noting whatever approach that will be taken will still affect traffic flow. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs has confirmed that it has received information from relevant authorities in the United Arab Emirates that 2 Ghanaians sustained injuries following a drone incident in the vicinity of Dubai International Airport earlier today. In a statement issued today, the ministry said the government strongly condemns any acts that endanger civilian lives and critical infrastructure. Ghana's embassy to the United Arab Emirates led a delegation from the embassy in Abu Dhabi and consulate in Dubai to visit the 2 injured Ghanaians in the hospital. According to the ministry, their injuries are not critical and full recovery is expected soon. The Minister for the Interior, Muntaka Mohamed Mubarak, has revealed that Ghana's security services currently comprise fewer than 100,000 personnel, yet their wage bill already amounts to approximately 13 billion Ghana cedis. He was speaking at a media briefing earlier today, and regarding to the ongoing security services recruitment, he emphasized that the current staffing levels across the various agencies remain limited relative to the country's growing security needs. He stated that the Ghana Police Service has just over 49,000 personnel, while the Ghana Immigration Service employs about 18,000 officers. The Ghana National Fire Service has approximately 17,000 personnel. The Ghana Prison Service has around 14,000 officers, and the Narcotics Control Commission has about 3,000 personnel. All these are on our website. Do make time to visit at 3news.com. I am Christabel Success-Trevor. Martin, over to you.
Thank you very much, Christabel. Let's settle for the details of our stories now. We're starting from the Labour front, and striking members of the Civil and Local Government Staff Association of Ghana, CLOGSAG, have failed to appear before the National Labour Commission to address their concerns. And this was expected to have happened today, and unfortunately that meeting did not come off. The Commission has subsequently rescheduled the meeting, giving the association another opportunity to appear before it on Wednesday, the 18th of March. That should be next week, Wednesday. CLOGSAG officially began a nationwide strike on Monday, the 9th of March 2026, following the government's failure to implement the newly agreed salary structure of civil service and local government workers. The industrial action is expecting the government's operations nationwide, as more than 60,000 CLOGSAG members have stayed off from work until further notice. The strike was prompted by the government's inability to fulfill its promises regarding improved pay and working conditions for public sector employees. Meanwhile, the National Labour Commission has officially declared the strike action by CLOGSAG as illegal. Labour Affairs correspondent Daniel Opoku engaged the executive secretary of the National Labour Commission, who has disclosed this while addressing the media, that it is unfortunate that the meeting did not come off.
You were expecting the leadership of CLOCSA to appear before you this afternoon, but unfortunately they did not come. What did they tell you, and why did they appear before the commission?
Well, like you rightly said, we expected them to come, but they didn't come. And they never also gave any excuse or any reason why they didn't come.
But I saw the head of civil service and also the ferries within your meeting. What did you discuss with them?
Right. So the head of civil service represented the employer, that is government, and he was accompanied by officials of the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission. You know that in the first letter that we wrote to them, we asked them to appear. First to rescind the decision, that was on the 5th of March, and to appear. So today, because they didn't appear and they are still on strike, you know, when a party is on strike or has instituted an industrial action, the substantive matter cannot be heard.
But once that means that you may have to go to court to get your ruling enforced.
Well, in the earlier directive that we issued to them, that time they hadn't embarked on the strike. They had expressed or taken the decision to embark on the strike. And so the commission told them to rescind that decision. And then they went ahead and instituted the action effective, that was on Monday, from Monday, which is still ongoing. And so now there's a declaration that the action is illegal. The first one said it constituted an illegality if they embark on it. Now the declaration has been made, which is a kind of ruling that the action that they've taken is illegal. And so we are moving step by step.
So you'll give them a second chance to appear before you somewhere next week?
Yes, so they've been asked to call it off immediately and appear next week, Wednesday.
In case government is able to finalize their issues with them and conclusions are reached, will it be necessary to appear before the commission?
Once you've been summoned, you have to come. And if you have resolved, then you come and announce it. So you can't say that you are staying out. So you have to come and say that, yes, we have resolved it, and that is it. So that answers your question.
Right. My final question to you, them not appearing before you, would you describe that as mass of bad faith?
Well, you know, the commission has been established by law to deal with these matters. And so you are under obligation once you are invited to come and you have to appear. But then they decided not to come without any reason. Yeah.
And this is disrespect.
Well, you are saying it.
Dr. I'm grateful for your time.
You're welcome.
And that is Dr. Benis Welbeck, who is the Executive Secretary of the National Labour Commission. Let's now go to the phone lines and speak to Mr. Austin Game, who is a labour consultant. He's joined us for a quick chat on this. Mr. Game, good evening. Thank you for your time.
You're most welcome.
We know that the National Labour Commission, based on what we have heard, had convened a meeting between themselves and the CLOCSA, that's the civil and local government workers. But CLOCSA failed to show up. What does this mean, really, when it comes to issues of negotiations like this, especially when the Commission has also declared the strike as illegal?
Right, thank you. Well, once the Commission has declared at this sitting that their action is illegal, they know exactly what to do next. Of course, if I say I don't know, I will be lying. If I were to be them, the opportunity I've been given is lost, and we don't have the time, and some number of people cannot take the whole 34 million people or so to ransom. And we know the kind of situation the world finds itself in, and Ghana is not an island. And the issue on hand has become a trade dispute. And if you have a trade dispute, you have to give a certain number of days for it to be addressed. And if you fail to do so, the commission will have to go to the law court and ensure that they order them to go back to work.
Well, and as it stands, we've also heard from Clocksack, for instance, who say that the only thing that can get them to call off the strike is if at least part of their conditions of service are met. And if these meetings that are supposed to discuss their concerns, they do not go, clearly it tells you, it gives the impression that it will be a lot more difficult for government than we thought. No?
I don't think, if I were to be the employer, I would not see this. You have to negotiate. That's not good faith. Our law do not permit people to be negotiating when they are on strike. And they have a legitimate concern they want to express. They have to express it in a forum where there is clear-cut civility for both parties to be able to talk. This one, there is no opportunity whatsoever for the employer who directly was not a party, so-called, to an agreement signed in 2019, not just about a mere issue, about a salary structure and a condition of service. So you don't put handcuffs around your hand like that. So salary structure for a public sector wide is not a very pleasant thing to do in and impose upon you. So they should take it easy. I have a deep-seated respect for them, and they know that, but I cannot support error. This is completely wrong. They should go back to work. Their members should know that they are putting themselves into danger. I don't think it is fair to themselves and to the entire nation. They should go back to work and go report the conduct of the employer to the National Labour Commission if they fail to honor an invitation for any form of conversation on the issue.
Finally, you say government's hands are clearly tied in this situation, because if your labor force decide to go contrary to or not go to work, it definitely will have an impact on the economy and revenue, or by extension, the revenue of the country. So if I think I heard you right by saying that you cannot negotiate with people who are not willing to negotiate. What other options are available to government at this time?
The bodies that have been set up, as was said by Dr. Welbeck to you, is the Labour Commission. If the Labour Commission inviting you as a high court, so that's how they are, and you fail to come, it's contempt. So if I were to be the Labour Commission, I will go to the law court and ask them to, declare that what they are doing is inappropriate, and so they should go back, or they should deal with them as appropriate. They are Ghanaians, I believe, so they should act according to the Ghanaian law and not their own desires and feelings. I respect them. If I were to be their members, we will go back to work.
All right, Mr. Garment, it's still early days yet on this strike. We thank you for your time.
You are welcome.
And he is a labor consultant and giving us his perspectives on what impact this strike could have on the economy, but more importantly, the fact that the CLOGSAG, which is the Civil and Local Government Staff Association of Ghana, deciding not to attend upon the invitation of the National Labour Commission is illegal in itself, because they needed to be with the body mandated by the law to listen to labor concerns. And so if they do not attend to the invitation of the Labour Commission and still stay on strike, that in itself is a double jeopardy, double illegality. And so we wait to see what the coming days will hold, especially for the labor front vis-a-vis the economy and what government's options are going forward. This is 3FM 92.7, and it is not that we are shifting all the blame on organized on CLOGSAG, clearly they are justified in the claims or demands they are making, for which reason they have written to government, or a number of times they have threatened a strike which now is in force. So they legitimately have a concern. The reasons or the other concerns being raised here is how they are implementing this strike. Clearly your concern is there. There's an association to listen to your concern. So it is in the right direction to sit and negotiate or put your concerns on the table so that the right approach to addressing them is found. But if you decide to stay away, then it looks as though you are shortchanging government, which is why you just heard Austin Game declare their strike as illegal and saying that the action they have just taken, which is not to attend upon the Labour Commission in itself, is another illegality. We're going on to some other stories now. Many of you football lovers around the world may have heard by now that there is a war going on in the Middle East. There was a war, or at least some outbreak of violence in Mexico, and this all comes on the back of the fact that in less than 3 months, the world will be gathering in US, Mexico, and Canada for the Global Mundial, which is the World Cup. But ahead of the World Cup, a number of current global developments seem to be shaking the foundation of whether or not the World Cup will happen. And one of such issues is Iran deciding to pull out of the World Cup. And the Iranian Sports Ministry confirmed that the country will not participate in the 2026 FIFA World Cup, citing the ongoing conflict following US and Israel military action. The tournament is set to take place across the United States, Canada, and Mexico from 11th June to 19th July. Iran was scheduled to face New Zealand and Belgium in Los Angeles before concluding their group stage games against Egypt in Seattle. The nation's participation had been in question following the US and Israel strikes. Sports Minister Ahmed Donyamal said on TV, and I'm quoting him, he says, "Since this corrupt government assassinated our leader, we have no conditions under which we can participate in the World Cup," unquote. He goes on to say that in view of the malicious measures taken against Iran, 2 wars were forced upon us within 8 or 9 months, and several thousands of our people were killed. Therefore, we definitely have no possibility of participating in this war, or in this way, or the World Cup. Since the first strike by US and Israel, Iran has reportedly retaliated with attacks on US bases in Bahrain, the United Arab Emirates, Oman, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Qatar, and Kuwait. So that's the news that we got earlier today regarding the World Cup and what the impact of the Middle East war right now is, and how other countries are being affected. And for those of you who've been following international news, you'd also know that the Iranian women's team have sought asylum in Australia, and the Austrian government has given them 5 of them, I should say, humanitarian visas of stay if they want to. So would the World Cup still happen as expected? Iran has pulled out, US is hosting it. Will it really happen? We wait to see as the days wear on. But talking about staying with the issues of the Middle East, let's come to Ghana. And the Ministry of Foreign Affairs has confirmed that it has received information from relevant authorities in the United Arab Emirates that 2 Ghanaians sustained injuries following a drone incident in the vicinity of Dubai International Airport earlier today. In a statement issued, the ministry said that the government strongly condemns any act that endangers civilian lives and critical infrastructure. The statement said such incidents pose serious risks to public safety and underscore the importance of ensuring the protection of civilians and vital international transport hubs. Ghana's ambassador to the United Arab Emirates led a delegation from the embassy in Abu Dhabi and the consulate in Dubai to visit the 2 injured Ghanaians in hospital. According to the ministry, their injuries are not critical and full recovery is expected soon. We'll find out later what all of this means, especially as, we indicated some countries have decided to pull out of the World Cup and its attendant impact on global developments. So let's now go back to the phone lines and speak to Dr. Yao Gebe, who is an international relations analyst, on the impact of this war as it is still raging on. Today is the 12th day, and from all indications, some individuals have been injured. All countries have recorded deaths. That is, U.S. has at least 7 of its soldiers dead, many injured. We also know that between 300 and 500 people have died in Iran, which is under heavy bombardment. And we also have had several reports of injuries in a number of countries, especially those that have been had reprisal attacks reprisal attacks from Iran in the neighboring countries, all in the Middle East or in the Gulf region. Dr. Yao Gebe has unfortunately dropped or is off the line, so we are unable to speak to him at this moment. So if we do get him, we'll put some of your questions to him. Still listening to 3FM 92.7. This is Hot Edition. I will try and raise Dr. Yao Gebe on the line to speak to him. But before we do that, let's turn our attention to other stories happening in Ghana, specifically in Parliament, because we know that the Ministry of the Interior has defended the introduction of an artificial intelligence aptitude test in the ongoing security services recruitment exercise, stating that the measure was necessary to manage the overwhelming number of applicants. On Tuesday, the minority leader, Alexander Apenyo-Markin, called for the scrapping of artificial intelligence aptitude test, citing major challenges faced by applicants. The NPP MP says the barrage of complaints from the constituents on the ongoing recruitment is unbearable, as several people were disqualified during the recruitment process due to difficulties encountered with the online testing system. First, let's listen to Muntaka Mubarak, who is the Minister for the Interior, and then we'll later listen to what exactly Apenyo-Markin has been saying regarding his concerns about the introduction of an AI test in the recruitment process. This is the Interior Minister, Muntaka Mubarak.
As noted, that he has every right to write demanding explanation about certain issues that he wasn't sure. He could do it two-way, by asking parliamentary questions where I have to come and answer, or writing to request that information directly from me, which I must give him because the minority that I'm a member of parliament. Or if you had come to say, look, bro, I've heard about this, I want to have a conversation. Can I see any evidence that this didn't happen? Is there any evidence that you went through the right procedures? I've heard about that. Those things could be done. But I don't know why he chose to do what he did. But once he apologized, once he's done that, knowing the rules of the House very well, remember that I've been in the leadership for long, I know the rules. Knowing the rules of the House very well, it disables you, because the worst will happen, you will go to privileges, and you come after swearing and say that, look, I'm sorry, I didn't get my facts right, I want to apologize and withdraw retract the statement. We wanted a solution. And a number of, I think about 4 of them also came to do a presentation. And we saw the answer in the cabinet. And then we didn't just stop there. We wrote to PPA saying that, look, we've shortlisted these 3. We want to go through the process so that we can. They granted it. We came, all the agencies, prison, police, immigration, fire, individually signed with cabinet. And then, believe me, so far, they've done so. When we create special operations units or special task force, they are not supposed to be at one place for long. I can tell you, these same units when we came, I mean, under the IGP Teteyoyono, we first used them in Galamsey operation, in the Tokwa area, and they did so well. We moved them to Asante region, they did so well. They were in Asante region when we had this challenge with Binyiri, and they were moved in there.
Responses like we saw in Tamale is testament that the commands that are resident there are not up to the task.
Well, I mean, that's how you see, because you see, if you look at every city, we have certain minimum number of officers. I must admit, in the north, it's one of the biggest challenges that we're having. It's not only in Tamale. Most of the big cities that we have in the north do not have the minimum required number of officers. So when you send this special operation, obviously they will be seen more visible, because all the attacks, for example, in the case of this special group, was to deal with drugs, illegal, drug trade and all that. So they come to focus. But I remember the resident police, they deal with traffic, they deal with armed robbery, they deal with all the other issues. So they are thinly spread, especially when their numbers are not up to the minimum. As against a special force that comes and their focus is, so you see that those ones, they were not dealing with the traffic issues in Tamale. They were not dealing with so many other issues in Tamale. They were rather focused on the drug issues.
So now that we have left, we expect those vices to increase.
So we expect that they have helped the local police push down the level of crime to a level that they should be able to cope.
And that is the Minister in charge of the Interior, Muntaka Mohammed Mubarak, who is also the Member of Parliament for Aswase in the Ashanti region. And talking about Parliament, we know that after a week of intense debate of the President's State of the Nation address, both majority and the minority leaders have been slugging it out on what the true state of the nation is. While the minority maintained that the president only came to impose his insensitive issues or insensitivity on the public, the majority opined that the president exhibited the mark of a leader who has carried the country along in his service. Let's listen in to some of the key issues that have come up in the latter part of the debate in Parliament.
How can government say it has no money to continue building hospitals, yet suddenly find money to purchase a private jet for the president? Mr. Speaker, what are the priorities of this government? No money for hospitals, but money for jets. No money for the sick, but money for comfort in the sky. No money for the cocoa farmer, yet money to buy jets. No money to subsidize electricity, yet money to buy jets. No money to fight Galamsey, yet money to sponsor social events. Mr. Speaker, when the government cannot finish hospitals, but can buy aircrafts, it has made its priorities very clear. Again, this nation does not need propaganda. What it needs is a truthful diagnosis and a workable plan. What he did, Mr. Speaker, was that he delivered a performance on the state of his imagination. He did not come to account. He came to impress. Let me reiterate one more time that the rice farmers need the attention of government. The cocoa farmers need the attention of government. The young farmers, the poor young farmer needs the attention of farmers.
In health, we launched Mahama Cares with a 2.9 billion Ghana cedis fund for chronic diseases. Should a father have to choose between university fees and his wife's dialysis, should that be the case, today we are tearing up that ledger of despair. We have seized our sovereignty from the hands of donors and placed it back into the hands of our doctors. We are ending the no-bed syndrome, because a healthful bed is a right of citizenship, not a prize for the privilege. Our Feed Ghana program is the pillar of our sovereignty. We are procuring 660 tractors and 400 combined harvesters. We are determined to slash out 400 million US dollars poultry import bill by raising 10 million birds on our own soil. We chose the farmer over the financier. The dawn is no longer breaking, Mr. Speaker. The morning is here. It is a morning of work, a morning of justice, a morning of hope, and that morning, bright, bold, and beautiful, belongs to the people of Ghana. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
And you heard excerpts of the final debate from both sides of the House, the minority and the majority side, slugging it out, all trying to push their point, while the minority say that the government did not present the true state of the nation to the people. The majority, on the other hand, are painting a picture of good work done and that they believe that the people in the country can see for themselves the work that is currently being undertaken by the administration. But you are the one living in the country. As a Ghanaian, what are your thoughts? What do you make of what is the state of the Ghanaian economy in your life, in your personal life? Do send it to us on our social media platforms. We're streaming on Facebook and on YouTube. Send us your thoughts, and we are always happy to hear from you. We're taking a step back to our earlier story having to do with the security concerns coming in from the Middle East and the possible impact on lives, property, and economies. So Ghana clearly is also being impacted. Although the war is thousands of miles away from our continent, there really is a direct impact of the war on us. As we speak today, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs confirmed that 2 Ghanaians were injured in a drone attack on a Dubai airport, and they are currently receiving treatment. Although their situation is not critical, the government used the opportunity as well to condemn the ongoing war. And that brings to about 6 the number of Ghanaians who have been directly affected. You recall a few days ago, 3. In fact, that was on Saturday or Sunday. 3 Ghanaian peacekeeping soldiers were also badly affected by an explosion. 2 explosions, in fact, that hit their base in Lebanon, the southern part of Lebanon, where they are on a peacekeeping mission. Their situation, we were told, was quite critical. One of them very, very critical. He's receiving treatment. The others are also recuperating. But let's speak to security analyst and consultant, Mr. Richard Kumado, on what all of this means, especially on the international front and the global conversation. Mr. Kumado, good evening. Thank you for joining us on 3FM.
Hello.
Yes, good evening. Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
What have your initial thoughts been on what's happening in the Middle East? We know that, as a security man yourself, you have been monitoring very closely, but talk to us about what you make of the development 12 days on, and then we can zero it down to Ghana. How are you reading?
The last time it happened, they traveled for 12 days. Today is the 12th day. We are not seeing any sign of stoppage. So we are hoping that it wouldn't travel for another 12 days. Other than that, the casualty levels are high. The global impact of this war is high. The financial and economic impact is also high. Infrastructure destruction is high. And overall, it has affected travel and many of the essential commodities we all need as living beings on the earth.
And what do you think we need to start doing, or what?
No, for we as a nation, we depend largely on crude. So if we have the forest, we just have to improve Thor. I was happy when Thor said they are improving from 18,000 to 45,000. 28,000 to 45,000, which means that they are adding additional 70,000. If we can have a reserve to about 4 months to 5 months, we can cushion ourselves going forward. Other than that, strategically, we need to align with people who may be able to give us this essential commodity when we needed it the most, because that is a national security priority, and that is the way to go. Other than that, all other things being equal, we can manage it through to another month or another 2 months.
Right. So my question was actually on how the situation can be salvaged. Should the world just sit and watch and see when Iran and Israel-US will decide to end the war, or there is a role global powers, probably like the United Nations, can play?
Yeah, but the one of the people who can stop the war is the one who started the war, and that is the irony of this whole thing. And it goes back to the United Nations Security Council, where Africa do not have a voice and Africa do not have a seat. That is the unfortunate situation. Other than that, it goes back to what we all know to be the global South versus the West. And until one of them comes out to say enough is enough, it's going to travel for a very long time.
Growing up, many of us thought that, there was a superpower in the world who was like the world's father, which is the United Nations. So if any country is misbehaving, they can deploy officials there to mandate.
The UN, Marty, the UN lack credibility, they lack leadership, they lack resource mobilization, and they lack many things. That's why they've not been able to, confront any civil unrest in any part of the world. They are not able to confront any war-torn zone situations. And they have been limping on for some time. That is the unfortunate situation. So nobody takes them seriously. If you remember, somebody came out to say they want to set up another body called World Peace Board to bypass the United Nations. Yes. And that created some level of uproar. So it's unfortunate, but that's the difficult situation we find ourselves in. I want to believe that Africans will need to craft a law and operate within a geopolitical arena that serves the interests of our individual countries within the 54 regions.
What kind of impact would Africa have brought to the United Nations Security Council if we have
a voice and we have a seat there? Then decisions such as this, we can also veto it to say, don't bring these things towards our border. But we don't have a voice. We depend on other people. You remember in the case of COVID, if the UN has not come in, and then those on the Security Council were taking advantage to divert vaccines and to do all manner of things. So where decisions are taken that affect everything you do as a human being on a particular continent, you need a table there and you need a chair. And I think it's a long time Africa is given opportunity to have a chair in the UN Security Council.
Let's not narrow the conversation to direct issues that have, affected Ghana. Our brothers and sisters who are on peacekeeping missions have been badly affected, and we know that they are there to keep peace. Unfortunately, they have, been caught in crossfire. I'm sure you are in contact with some of them. What kind of morale is in the camp of the military men, and how do you foresee Lebanon, which is just, a regular country, unfortunately within the catchment area of the war? They have also been affected. How can peacekeeping groups like Ghana, manage or navigate the current situation?
No, unfortunately, when you're on peacekeeping, you're under the command of the United Nations, the institution we just finished speaking about. We just spoke about the United Nations and the weaknesses they face, which is leading to several vulnerabilities. One of the vulnerabilities is that nobody respects them, nobody takes them serious, and that's how come their agencies can be bombed. Fortunately, again, or unfortunately, it is a non-knowledge that the UN agencies within the West Bank, Gaza, Lebanon, Jordan has been attacked by bombs over the years, and nothing was done to the attackers. So there again it happened. Of course, Ghana would need to review their relationship with the UN in line with our standard foreign policy. But once you're on peacekeeping, you're under the command of the United Nations, and it is the responsibility and the duty of the UN to ensure that the agencies and the officers who work there are protected.
And finally, I know I have stretched you. Finally, how do you see this ending, and who would benefit, who would lose? The Middle East war, I mean.
It wouldn't benefit anybody. It wouldn't benefit anybody. Those who started it are losing so hard because they are using expensive weapons in dealing with these cheap drones. And every war has financial implications, economic implications, and it has ramifications in the short to long term. And that is why dialogue and diplomacy is important.
Thank you very much, Mr. Richard Kumado, who is a fraud and security consultant. Richard Kumado there. Thank you so much for your time, as always, and your perspectives and thoughts that you share on our programs. This is still Hot Edition, 3FM 92.7. What are your thoughts on the many stories we've been sharing so far? Do let us know, and we'll be happy to let the rest of the world know that you are also part of the national conversation. And we are going on to some other stories in a decisive move to bridge the gap between classroom theory and real-world clinical applications. Ghana is investing in the practical training of its biomedical engineers at the heart of modern healthcare technology. The goal is to strengthen technical capacity and improve the reliability, safety, and efficiency of healthcare delivery systems across the country. There's more in this report put together.
Biomedical engineers are the hands that fix the equipment doctors rely on, ensuring they are properly installed, maintained, and functioning accurately to save lives. From diagnostic analysis to patient monitoring system, their expertise ensures that equipment functions optimally. However, despite the technical demand of the profession, Ghana's education system has historically leaned heavily towards theoretical instructions. Cecil, now a teaching assistant at the University of Ghana, recalls his experience.
In the books, we see a lot of pictures, and then we always ask ourselves, like, why haven't we been given the opportunity to actually have a feel, right? What it means to actually be a biomedical engineer practically, right? So it was a bit challenging, and most of the time when we go for some of these competitions, we notice that we are a bit, we are dealt a low hand. We seem to have some lack in terms of practical skills.
To address this structural gap, the German Development Agency has introduced a program upscaling biomedical engineers in Ghana. The initiative is designed to strengthen the link between academia, research, and industry by equipping students and graduates with hands-on competency-based training.
When medical equipment is properly installed and maintained, downtime is reduced. When diagnostics are accurate, treatment improves. In short, better trained medical engineers stand for a better healthcare delivery.
The impact of the program extends beyond employability. Speaking on behalf of the Health Minister, the Director of Allied Health at the Ministry of Health described the commissioning of upgraded bioinstrumentation laboratories at the University of Ghana and the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology as a strategic milestone for Ghana's health sector.
Sustainable impact requires localization, that is, empowering the Ghanaian professionals to lead, to adopt, and to innovate independently. This project strikes that balance by combining global partnership with local capacity.
For biomedical engineers, this marks a critical evolution from theoretical understanding to applied technical leadership.
In more news this evening, the national chairman of the National Democratic Congress, Martin Asiedu-Dartey, made a stop at Medina as part of his regional thank you tour in the Greater Accra region. The tour is to thank the community for their contribution to the NDC's massive win in the 2024 general elections. Asiedu-Dartey noted that despite the praise of John Dramani Mahama and the support he is getting, his supporters of the party feel disgruntled because they have not been appointed or given any role under the current NDC administration. The national chairman made a distinction referencing the current administration to the previous NPP government, stating that the reason for their failure was because the NPP appointees were based on NPP appointments were based on party relations, which brought shame and led them out of power. He said the NDC would not want to make same mistakes. He asked dissatisfied party members of the NDC to be patient and assured them that their needs would be attended to and met hopefully soon.
Party for no complaining that President Mahama Ghana force or yard na yenya party for no yet no buy no de nyawu sasa na mukaba so ya tie no pre se bibia in free form ansana ya foro eno ntino se ye ba ye no ye nso ye ba se ye ba behwe party for no nko a Kagana for betrasia bisase, NDC, any MPP Kuran, so
I am aware that despite praise for His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, some of our supporters feel disgruntled because they have not been appointed job roles since we returned to office. It was our collective decision to reduce the size of government to 60 ministers. We constantly criticized the NPP's 125 appointment as excessive, and we will not make the same mistake. The previous NPP administration failed because their appointments were based on party relations rather than competence. That brought shame to their government and led them out of power. We in the National Democratic Congress will not follow that path. To our dissatisfied supporters, I ask you to be patient. Your need would be attended to.
Johnson Asiedu-Dartey is the national chairman of the National Democratic Congress, who is on a thank you tour to a number of regions. His current stop is in the Greater Accra region. We'll follow and update you on where he would be stopping next. And before we swing into business, the Deputy Minister for Transport, Dorcas Afotofe, has paid a working visit to the Jamestown Fishing Harbour in Accra, which has not been functioning since its commissioning in 2024. The construction of Jamestown Fishing Harbour began in the year 2018 by the $60 million Chinese grant project, which was expected to create employment, has not lived up to its purpose. There is more in this report by Stanley Nibleu.
The Jamestown Fishing Harbour, commissioned by former President Akufo-Addo in September 2024, was designed to transform the fishing industry along the coast of British Accra. The Chinese-sponsored facility includes a ship repair yard, a cold store, a mechanical shop, a waste treatment plant, a crèche for toddlers, 40 retail shops, and a fish market, which has now recorded about 60% occupancy. However, barely 2 years after its commissioning, parts of the facility are already showing signs of corrosion. Wire mesh, roofing sheets, and other metallic components of the harbour structures are rusting away. Experts warn that the situation could worsen if authorities fail to intervene promptly. Managers of the facility say the issue is still under the supervision of the Chinese contractors responsible for the project.
Apart from the facility undergoing intense corrosion, water levels here have also declined significantly, and this situation had been attributed to climate change. But according to fishermen operating from this fishing harbour, the situation is actually impacting on their work.
Canoes that once docked safely in the harbour are now sitting on sand as water levels continue to recede. As a result, the harbour is unable to accommodate fishing trawlers and larger vessels, leaving only smaller canoes to operate.
Our interest is how to maximize the facilities here for the benefit of artisanal fishers in this country. From here, as my colleague minister has indicated, we are sitting together and see arrangements to put in place so that these facilities will be maximized.
And that's a report by Stanley Nibleu. And this is still Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Time now for the latest in the world of business.
Bismarck also coming up tonight. Ghana unveils plan to combat illicit financial flows, recover stolen assets, and strengthen anti-corruption efforts. Thanks for your company. Now to the details. A report in February 2026 by Global Financial Integrity revealed that Ghana lost an average $5.4 billion annually to trade-related illicit financial flows over the last decade. To combat this menace and their negative impact on Ghana, and other West African economies, the Alliance for Social Equity and Public Accountability, ASEPA, and the Civil Forum for Asset Recovery have unveiled an initiative aimed at strengthening the role of journalists, civil society, and government agencies in the recovery of stolen public assets. The Global Financial Integrity Report revealed that Ghana lost estimated $54.1 billion to trade-related illicit financial flows over the last 10 years, averaging $5.4 billion annually. This places Ghana among the top 3 African countries affected by trade-related illicit financial flows. The amount of money that Ghana has lost through this annually in the last decade is bigger than the $3 billion 3-year bailout from the IMF. The extractive sector, gold, oil, and gas, is the primary source of these losses, driven by trade misinvoicing, tax evasion, and illegal mining. Logistics and Procurement Officer Illicit Financial Flows and Asset Recovery Project, Isaac Anyane Asari, is worried.
Making your findings, and you find out that what is going out is more than what we are even soliciting in. Then it tells us that we are not doing well as a country. It's just that we don't blame ourselves much because we are not getting the right ways of handling issues.
Anyane Asari called for collaboration among civil society groups, government institutions, and the media to educate and fight corruption.
If there is a way to stop, it will not be rising. So we are here to work on this and make sure we put a stop and then reduce the rate at which it is rising.
And that was a report. Now, the Securities and Exchange Commission has announced 11 businesses licensed to trade in cryptocurrency in the country and warns that any company not in the list will be sanctioned for operating illegally. Deputy Director General Mensa Thompson says the companies will operate under a regulatory sandbox for the next 12 months, after which full licenses will be issued to firms to meet their requirements.
The sandbox, created under the Virtual Asset Service Providers Act of 2025, allows firms to test their products and services in a controlled environment. The SEC says the initiative will help validate guidelines for activity-based licensing categories while ensuring investor protection and compliance with anti-money laundering standards.
These companies have undergone through proper scrutiny and review, and they are going to begin to roll out under strict SEC supervision so that we can protect investors, we can protect the market, and we can prevent all the fraudulent activities associated with the use and adoption of cryptocurrency.
The sandbox will run for 12 months, with firms that meet regulatory requirements potentially transitioning to full licenses after 6 months.
Apart from the people who has been mentioned, or the people who we have captured, apart from the people who we have admitted into our sandbox, any other cryptocurrency firm which is operating or is purported to be operating in the market is operating illegally and is not under the supervision of the SEC.
And that was Deputy Director General of the Securities and Exchange Commission, Mensa Thompson, ending the business segment on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7 with me, Bismarck Ausa. Andrew Sefa is here for sports. Please stay.
Hello, good evening and welcome to the sports segment here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7 with me, Andrew Sefa Bamfo. Let's start off from the camp of the Black Stars, where high-performance coach John Pinto has hailed Black Stars head coach Otoado, highlighting his tactical efficiencies while praising his astuteness. His praise comes with just 92 days to the 2026 World Cup.
Well, I wouldn't say only him. I'm part of the technical team, so I wouldn't put the whole weight on him. We will do better. We deserve to take the country to the World Cup. We have qualified the team. We never lost since we took over for the World Cup qualifying. Although the Nations Cup did not go well, but even after that, we didn't turn our back. We worked so hard. Otto he's a leader. He's a great coach. He's a coach who understands his philosophy, and then he's making sure that we all follow up. And he's a disciplined type. And trust me, before a game, he don't even eat when we are sitting on the table. He don't even eat. Yeah, he wait after the game. Then he wait. He see the pressure and also. I believe he know what he wants. But what I want to tell Ghana is to give him all the maximum support and then believe in him. Because the coach that has qualified the nation can also do better. And it's not the first time qualifying Ghana to the World Cup. This is the second time. And it's a coach who has also played for Ghana. He has played the nation World Cup 2006 in Germany, which he performed. So with his experience, myself, Stephen Appiah is also around. All of us have tested it before. So they need to believe in a head coach and then give him maximum support and pray for the team so that we all go and then make the country proud.
And so that was Black Stars high-performance coach John Pinto speaking. Still on the World Cup, Iranian Sports Minister Ahmad Donyamali says they are not in a position to participate in the 2026 competition. The team is scheduled to play 3 group matches in the tournament, which are being held in the United States, Canada, and Mexico, and gets underway on June 11. Iran are due to face New Zealand and Belgium in Los Angeles on June 15 and June 21 respectively, and Egypt in Seattle on June 26. But their participation has been in doubt since the US and Israel launched strikes on the country, killing Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Iran responded by launching missiles and drones towards Israel and other nations that host US military bases. Now, finally,